Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Paranormal Rangers. How's it going, Bill?
Good. I'll call myself maybe an honorary paranormal ranger.
Yes, from the background studio.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm just, it's been one of these really unusual weeks. Basically, we've had unusual storming going on, lots of rain, lots of overhanging clouds and such and everything, but it's been a good week, and I know that we have a couple of the other rangers are in travels. We're waiting on Jonathan to try to get on. He could be having some technical difficulties. He went to celebrate his mother's 91st birthday in Los Angeles, California, and then he has some work stuff he's got to do there while he's there. So hopefully he can get in and be a part of today's special guest, which is Marc D'Antonio. Oh, excuse me, I've got to shut down the sound of my phone. Things happen in life, you know.
But you have a great guest tonight. He's a dear friend of ours, Marc D'Antonio. And folks that are watching or listening, make sure to check out SkyTourLive.org, or you can go to SkyTourLive.com. Both will take you to the same destination. A lot of great information there. It takes you to his SkyTour LiveStream that he does on YouTube and other platforms, video platforms. And you know, Marc, he's involved in so many things. He is a Renaissance man, like you put it in the title. He's got an extensive background in so many different areas. I'm just saying this from my own personal opinion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that out there that do astronomy on certain platforms. But if you truly want an educational experience and throw some humor in there as well, he makes it very entertaining. And the two telescopes that he has and he's working on others, I'll let him discuss that. It's not my place. But it's just amazing what you'll learn, what you'll see, the information. It's, Michelle, it's like having a free course in astronomy, an educational experience. Like if you were taking a college course in astronomy, that's what you're getting. But he breaks it down, in a simple way so people can understand it, except for people like me. I have to ask him multiple questions.
Right.
I go, Marc, I got a stupid question. And he says, Bill, there's no such thing as a stupid question, which is true. A lot of people just don't have that, and they don't have the background and the information regarding a certain area. And for him, it's astronomy. And it's just amazing. You've seen him do his presentations.
Right.
Just amazing. And he's had paranormal type experiences, but he's also very grounded from a scientific point of view as well. But it's great to have a person like this who thinks outside the box too. I have the utmost respect for him, but I'm going to be quiet now so you can bring him on and actually do a show with him.
Absolutely. Present Marc D'Antonio, the Renaissance man.
Let's get him on.
Well, thank you guys, but now I'll be off now because Bill said everything we need to hear.
I know. You heard it back there backstage. You are a well-renowned astronomer.
Well, I guess I'm an astronomer, yes. Whether it's renowned or not, I can't speak to that. But I will say this. I do have a passion for the science, and I think that no one should be left out. And most people just look at the news articles and they just sort of pass them by because they feel they have no hope of understanding them. So They figure, I don't want to be, upset with myself because I don't get it. But I have another approach. My approach is everybody should be able to be part of the discussion. So as long as you understand the basic parts of it, and maybe not the advanced physics, you don't need to know that. Okay, is that going to change your life? Is that going to change how you go to work? No, of course not. What it might do is change it might open your mind just understanding the concept, and that sparks other discussions with other people far after I've been in the conversation. So it's about generating a discussion with everybody because everybody's capable. I had a 9-year-old girl reading my book. okay, because it's written for all ages, including young kids, and so it's pretty cool. I'm really excited that that people that young would be into it, and they were. So so it goes, and of course, I've taught everything from kindergarten to university classes as an itinerant teacher and roving specialist and trying to get certain points across to people. And it's really been neat,
Well,
So,
Mark, you have a very, very calming presence about you, and your voice just calms people down, and people just enjoy that. Just that awareness, they want to listen to what you have to say. Hey, John, thanks for joining us.
hey,
Oh man, I made
He
it.
showed up.
He made it. Now,
Yeah.
before you continue, I don't mean to interrupt Michelle and John and Mark, but I do want to share this on the screen before I leave. It is Mark's book. So let me see if I can pull that up
Sure.
right now.
And Mark can give us a little bit of a summary, which he was starting to.
Yeah, well, I actually wasn't gonna, go into it that much, but okay.
Who cares about his book, right?
It's a great book. I have it.
Hey, no comments in the peanut gallery up there.
You can tell there's some friendships on this show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've known John for a long time. I knew John when he had dark hair.
Yep, that's right.
Recent formula, eh?
Oh my God.
Not anymore.
That's right. They stopped using it.
So yes, this is Mark's book, The Populated Universe. It's a great book. I have it. And I mean, if you really
Bill holds up his monitor with it. It's really cool.
I love it.
I mean, if you really want to learn about astronomy, this is a great book. It's also Christmas is coming. It makes for a great gift too, if you know somebody who's interested in it. So
that's true.
The Populated Universe. Look it up on Amazon. Marc D'Antonio, you'll find it. John, great to see you as always. And I'm going to leave it to you guys now. Have a great rest of your show.
Thank you. Well, what do you have to say, John? We made the intros. We got Mark on, and now we got to hear what that Renaissance man has to say.
Tall order.
Oh, I don't know. I was just trying to connect, and my computer says, "Oh, updates need to be put in," and blah blah blah. So
that's terrible stuff.
And I'm not at home. So.
Yeah, we let the audience know that you've been traveling and that you are there for your mom's 91st birthday, and that you're a proud son, and you're moving forward and other working things there as well. I didn't say what, I just said you were there manning the booth.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mark, here's John, and he's trying to update computers and everything, but go ahead and share with us what you had. You and I had a kind of a short, about a month ago, I had a short conversation about, I think we were talking about universal time travel, and we were talking about how wormholes somehow work.
Yeah, we were talking about dimensional propulsion, dimensional shifts.
Yeah.
And that's actually, it's been said, any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, right? And so
that's right.
I think that's something that if we see it, we immediately discount it as, whoa, that's someone did a magic trick or something like that. Because, other than Stan, who can make coins appear out of the ceiling, but, that's a whole nother thing. Okay. I wish he could be here, because I wanted to remind him of the event I had when I was at Marianne's house, John. When you two were in the pool with Marianne and everybody, I was sitting there with this guy, Dave from Phoenix MUFON, and a quarter rolled right down the empty concrete walkway to my left, which is, 60 feet from you guys. And it stopped at my feet, heads up. And I picked it up, and Dave saw it happen. He goes, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" No way that could have come from, somebody throwing it, because there was a big wall and nobody was there. It's all quiet in the neighborhood. And then literally 30 seconds later, a dime rolls in right from the same location, which was to our left, out where one of our boats was parked. and it just rolled to my feet again. And it only stopped because it hit a groove in the concrete. And Dave went, man, he goes, you should ask, let's just get more dollars, get $1 million coming in. He was like, yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. So I still have that 35 cents here. I kept it, and I haven't got rid of it. And I thought that was pretty cool. But that's, my paranormal thing related to Stan.
I would recommend get a small picture frame and put them in there, and then just put it up on your wall somewhere.
That's right. Like my first dollar for my business, up on the wall.
Yeah, just to memorialize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those kind of things happen. Usually when Stan is nearby, is what I found out, because things have happened to me with him. I was staying there, and Stan was in another room, and going to bed. I get under the covers, and I feel something down by my feet that's cold, and I reached down there and I pulled out a nickel. And I thought, oh, somebody fixed the bed and they accidentally left a nickel in the sheets or whatever. So made sure nothing was there. Put it on the nightstand. Got back into bed again, and my feet hit something cold again. There's another nickel. And I had checked to make sure there was nothing else there. And Marianne's got those nickels now on downstairs.
She does, actually, on a table down there.
Yeah. Right.
That's crazy.
And the 5 cents and 5 cents was significant because that was her husband's, was it her engine number for the fire department where he worked?
So 55.
It was it 505 maybe or something? I don't remember. But it was actually significant. So that was pretty cool. I don't know what 35 cents has to do with anything other than I got 35 cents out of the air that sort of appeared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, see, but this brings up everything that I talk about typically, and that is that, I'm a science guy, right?
Right.
So what happens when things that are decidedly non-scientific happen to you? Do you deny them and try to explain them away? Or do you think, I'm going to research this and see what this is about? Maybe this is something more interesting. And I think that is the tactic that I felt the most comfortable doing. And that's what I do. So I'm very excited to keep exploring these things and to try and find out what's going on.
That's great. Can I share a story?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Interestingly enough, how do you explain things? Yeah. So one day I was, this was, I would say about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had lost a huge set of keys. I mean, I have a, one of those lanyards, and I have put, all things from Disney and everything, charms, whatever on it. And I could not find these keys. And at the time we were going back and forth to up to Vernal, Utah, and going up there, for the filming of, what. And I thought, okay, I must have lost them. And I was getting a little frantic because I needed keys for the car. And a friend of mine called me, and she's got some special abilities. That's what I'll say. And she goes, they're in your closet. And I ran up to my closet. It was in my office closet. And I said, well, I don't see them. I'm looking everywhere. I'm throwing shoes out of there. I'm throwing things that I've, have stored up in the closet. And she goes, no, they're in the closet. And I went, and then she says, put your hand out. And I put my hand out, and I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden those keys just drop right into my hand.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, how did that happen?
Now what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. So
you get in your car and use the keys.
Yeah, I mean, I was like thrilled, but I was more like, okay, that was really, and we were just beginning to nurture a friendship. And so we were very close. And so the other day I was asking, I said, do you remember that key incident? Yeah. I go, how did you do that? And she goes, it took a lot of energy. And I says, well, how do you manifest from nowhere? And she says, it just takes a lot of energy. Not wanting to reveal how she did things. Maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she just knows it takes a lot of energy by the time things happen. And like, there's a couple of things that she's done in front of me, and I went, wow. And she does not want it to be known for doing those things. But she just always says it just takes a lot of energy. So that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like one of the things that I did was I did a talk. And you know what? I didn't even answer your other original question from like 10 minutes ago, but we'll get there, I'm sure.
I'm glad you remembered.
Yeah. You know, I have a talk. It's called "Where Does Science Go in the Face of the Unexplained?"
Right.
And it details a number of different events that I've experienced that I can't explain. I don't know. Oh, thank you, Sally. I don't know what it means, but you know, I've, for instance, when I was putting down dogs, I had dogs from the racetrack that I took because they would otherwise been killed. Okay, greyhounds. They kill 10,000 a year nationwide because of that stupid industry. Well,
Right.
I took two. I renamed them Tycho and Kepler, astronomers' dogs, and I had them. I had them for like 14 years. Tycho was the first to go, and as he was laying on the floor, and they were about to, you know, administer the kill shot. And let's be honest, we're killing our pets when they get, you know, to a point where they are suffering. And I don't sugarcoat that. So I had to put him down. Okay. So while I'm sitting there, I'm sitting in a chair, leaning over and just, you know, touching the side of his body. And they administered this, I think it was phenobarbital or something. And as soon as they gave the dog this material, the most incredible thing happened, which was actually quite embarrassing for me. And it was, now the dog is in the process of dying on the floor in the vet's office. And I got hit in the chest by a bolt of electricity that knocked me off the stool I was sitting on and sent me back 2 feet. Everybody in the room saw this. This is a matter of public record. This isn't me just saying things.
Right.
I got knocked 2 feet back and hit the wall, hit the back of my head, and then fell down on the floor. And I got up immediately and started shaking people. Did you see that? Did you see that? Did you see? Did you feel that? Did you feel that? And they're all like, no, what are you talking about? You know, it's okay. Take it easy. I know it's traumatic. No, did you feel? I'm stepping over the dog that's dead now on the floor. Saying, did you feel that? And they're like, no. I was like, oh, I got hit with electricity. Yeah, you flew. Something knocked you off the chair. I didn't know what it was. And I said, yeah, the dog knocked me off the chair. It came right through me. All right. Well, a year later, I had to get the female had to be put down too, and I had to get her to the vet again. This time I was kneeling on the floor. I was kneeling right next to her on my knees like this, and I was cradling her head as they administered the shot. I literally didn't have that in my head as to what had happened the previous year. When she went, it was like a bolt of lightning. And I saw lights in my vision, and all of a sudden I got knocked off my feet like this, went backwards, right up into the air, off your knees, straight up and back into the waiting arms of a vet tech. And I looked back, and she goes, I was here last year. I went, oh my God, that's right. You know, so it was almost like they remembered. Well, she did. And she sort of positioned herself behind me just in case. And it turned out to be worthwhile. I was on my knees, and you know, you go on your knees and try to jump back like that. You just can't do it. You can't do it.
Can't do it.
I was pushed. I was like, bam! I got a force in my chest that knocked me back.
Yeah.
And that prompted the vet to write me like a 1-page handwritten letter describing, you know, how well I took care of these dogs and all that stuff. It was very, very nice. And he'd never seen anything like this and neither did I.
Mhm.
So what do you do with that?
I know.
What do you do with that? It's a real phenomenon that has to be dealt with. It's
Mm.
something that we can't explain. So that doesn't mean it's dismissed. It means it's got to be researched. Yeah, give me some tools. Let's go
Right.
dig into this, right? Some things we can figure out. Some things I think we can't, you know. So that's another story that I had that was just a mind bending.
Yeah. I think the coins with Stan.
Yep.
The keys, I call it the keys with me. And in fact, this is probably the first time I've ever revealed that story because we're talking about I don't know, Mark, you're the probably the expert in what's going on with the universe. I mean,
As far as we know, right? But I mean, I had the experience with the money. Like Stan was within 60 feet of me, swimming in the pool, having a good old time. And you had the key event. Okay. I had the dog events. That's not the end of it. I had a black shadow creature in my shop, which prevented me from getting my work done for the Navy.
mhm.
And it was insidious. Every time I'd go down there, it'd be standing there. And I reached into it one time and I got hit with this cold malevolence. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like liquid leaking down the wall. So I'm
Mm.
reaching for it, but I'm actually reaching through a three-dimensional thing. And I suddenly felt my hand get cold, like it was being hit with like liquid nitrogen. I pulled back, and it was scary. So finally, I got so panicked about it. I'm no hero. I ran upstairs and I stayed out of that shop for 3 weeks. Meanwhile, the Navy's calling, "Hey, when are you going to have this project ready?" I'm like, "Oh man, yeah, I know. I'll get to it. I'll get to it." But I was really worried, and I just didn't want to go down and see this thing down there again. So finally, they said, "Well, if you don't get this done, we're not going to use you anymore, and we're going to find someone else." And so I said, I got to do something about this. I got to fix this. So I ran down to the basement and I'm going right over to where it was. And there, it's not there. I
Mhm.
turn around. There it is. It's over by these doors. And I ran over to it. And now I'm mad. Okay. I got really mad. So I stepped into this thing and I felt like an idiot kind of sort of doing this. I went, "Get out of here. You are not welcome here."
Right.
And poof, it was gone. And right that moment, I heard a cricket start chirping. Now, in New England tribes, my mother was Passamaquoddy, Native American, and Irish, so she, you know, two cultures wound up in one. And but in the hunter gatherer tribes in New England, the cricket was the messenger. It
Mhm.
would tell you where the game was. Because if they were quiet, that's where the game was. If they were making all kinds of noise, well, then it was safe over there, and they were making all kinds of noise. There's nothing there. So you go where the crickets are not. So what was interesting was, as soon as this thing went away, all of a sudden you hear this cricket in my basement. I went, "Whoa." And I walked over, and I literally leaned over. It was under some metal shelving, and I put my hand out. And don't you know, this thing walked out onto my hand and still was chirping. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Okay, this is crazy. So I took it out of the shop and I set it down on the grass and I said, "Well, there you go, little guy. Thank you for the message." And he continued to chirp all the time he was in my hand. I don't know what I've never, ever, ever had that happen since. That was wild. So see, there's messages that were being delivered by nature too. And what do we do with those? I don't know what to do
Mhm.
with those, you know?
Well, I think sometimes it's a healing of the soul. I just got back from the Tetons and I had a bear encounter. And this bear ran right in front of my car. I put on the brakes. I didn't want to hit it.
Mhm.
It turned to the left of me and it stopped. It dead stopped. And I rolled down my window and we had a moment. Eye to eye, and I thank you, my brother, for being there. And then that and I really had a healing moment in that experience.
I believe that, you
Mhm,
know.
mhm.
I wish I could say the same with the bears here at my house. Here they destroyed my garbage bin, and I caught one rummaging around in there. I always give them names. I call him Barry. I say, "Barry, what are you doing in my garbage? Get out of here!" And he's like, and he has a garbage bag in his mouth. He steps back and I go, "Barry, come on, give me the garbage bag." And he runs off with it. And I said, "Well, thanks. Now I don't have to go throw it away at the dump."
He'll rummage through it.
He
His
did.
food.
Yeah, but he left me a mess and I had to clean it up anyway. But hey, but nah, that's cool. I mean, nature and I have never, animals, they seem to come to me. You know, I had a fox try and get in the house. And I saw he had mange. And I said, "Oh, Foxy, you're looking pretty in pain, you know." And I knew there was a lady across the street who was a wildlife rehabilitator. And so I had to have a heart trap. And so I got it and I brought it out in the front lawn. Now Foxy's kind of walking around very carefully. I put it down and I set it. Oh, I forgot peanut butter and crackers. And I said, "Foxy, don't go away. All right. I'm going to help you. Okay. Veronica's across the street. She can fix that mange. I know that's uncomfortable." Obviously, they don't understand. Maybe it was the sound of my voice. I don't know. As I turn around to walk in the house, I'm walking toward the door and I hear ka-chunk. I look around. The fox is in the trap. And he's not getting crazy doing, no, not at all. He's just actually sitting there. And I walked over and like, whoa. And I pick him up and say, "Well, Foxy, come with me. I'm going to set you up for the night. And tomorrow morning, we're going to go to Veronica's and start you on the path to getting fixed." I brought him in the house, opened the trap, and let him walk out into a box I had an old quilt in. And he sat down in the box and he looked up at me. And for some reason, I felt comfortable enough to reach in there and start scratching the back of his head. And he went like this. He's leaning in and I'm scratching his head. I'm saying, "That can't be comfortable. I'm so sorry." And I yelled up to my son. I said, "Hey, can you throw me down some hamburger from dinner? I'm sure this guy's hungry." And my son goes, "Dad, what's that?" You go, "It's a fox." He goes, "Why is it in the house?" I said, "He needs us, Gabe. He needs to be healed. He's got mange." And then all of a sudden I hear, thump. And it's the hamburger sitting on the floor. He threw it from upstairs. He won't even come down with it. So I ended up putting it in the box. And of course, the fox ravenously ate it. And then within about 10 minutes, I fed him a little more. And finally, I said, "Okay, the fingers are pink and the meat is brown," because, and I just let him, and he very, very gently nibbled without going at my fingers, without hurting me. And he kind of licked my fingers after. And I was like, "Whew, that was dangerous. I shouldn't have done that." But he wasn't rabid. He wasn't showing any signs of being rabid. He looked like he just had mange. So the next morning, I went down to the basement thinking it's going to be covered with fox poop and pee, the smell. I'm sure it's going to be a nasty cleanup. I went down there. Foxy's still in the box. He looks at me and he's not saying a word, not doing anything. And there's no smell. He didn't poop. He didn't pee. I said, "Oh, Foxy, we got to get you some help." So I walked him down the driveway in a cardboard box that I had there, that same one. And his head's against my chest and we're kind of bouncing. He's bouncing against me as we're going down the driveway. His mouth's right here. He could go if he wanted to. He didn't. We got down to Veronica's house. I knocked on the door with one hand and holding the box and the fox in the box with the other. And she answers the door and she goes, "Oh my goodness, what is that, Mark?" I go, "This is a fox. He's got mange, Veronica." He goes, "I see that. Don't touch him. Don't touch him." I go, "Listen, Veronica, he's okay." And I scratched his head. Okay. I said, "He just needs to be helped." She goes, "I can do it." So she took the box and she's holding it way out here. "Okay, I'll put him in the cages out back and I'll fix his mange." And several weeks later, she said, "I let the fox go back by your house because that's his territory." I go, "That's fine. That's great." And lo and behold, it was probably that afternoon, maybe the next day. I can't remember exactly. I hear what sounds like a baby crying. And I thought, "Oh no, is that little kid?" I ran outside. No, it's the fox in the driveway. And I said, "Oh, Foxy, look at you. You look beautiful. Your fur looks great. Everything looks wonderful. Oh my gosh, you look fantastic. I'm so happy." And he's doing little circles and he runs off. It's like, now, was he trying to communicate thanks? We'd like to say that's what's happening, but maybe not. Maybe that's just part of his route. I don't know. But he's still out there
looking for another hamburger.
Yeah. "Where's your son? I want that hamburger again." Yeah. So, that happened to me with a blue jay. That happened to me with a skunk. I had a skunk in my shop. In fact, somebody bought me a stuffed skunk because of my skunk story. Did I ever tell you that story, John? About the skunk?
I believe you did, yeah.
Yeah. I was working in my garage, Michelle, and I had the doors open. It was summer,
Uh-huh.
and I'm sanding this submarine model for the Navy. And as I'm sanding it, I see a skunk in the open door. I go, oh boy! And he walks in, sniffing around, and tail's going, and I'm like, oh. And then he comes over to my feet. And he's smelling my shoes. I'm like, ah. And I'm don't lie. I was like this. I was like, oh man, but I have a skunk in here. Kind of a wild friend, but a skunk. It's kind of cool, but I'm a little concerned. So he sat there, and then he just sits down on his haunches right next to me. And I'm like, oh no, how am I going to even move? So I continue to sand, and of course the tail goes nervously, twitches. It doesn't do anything, but he smelled, of course. So I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I did it. Okay. But I started to slowly squat down, and like Foxy, I scratched him on top of the head. And then he didn't do anything. So I went down, I scratched him on top of the head again. And he looked up at me, and I scratched him on his neck. And he rolled over on his side, and I scratched his side and his belly. This is a wild skunk. And I'm thinking, wow. Oh, okay. My hand smelled terrible, but this is a wild animal that was now in my garage. And I was like, I can't deny this experience. I can't. So every morning when I would open the garage door, Skunky would run in. He'd come in. This went on for about a week and a half. Every day, Skunky was in there. It got so comfortable with this skunk running around my shop, which is not a stinky shop, okay, that I got so comfortable that he once put his nose near a 5-gallon pail of liquid silicone rubber. Now, that would be nasty to clean and get off. So he started to go up toward to sniff it, and I literally put my hand in front of his face and pushed him back. And I was thinking, oh, don't bite. I was just waiting to get bit right in here, you know. But he didn't. He just backed away. He said, Skunky, that can hurt you now. Don't do that, okay? And I didn't ever pick him up or anything, but I kind of gently moved him out of the way. And then I put a cardboard box or piece of cardboard to block him from getting to that again. And then one day, a neighbor watched them walk in the garage and called animal control.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah.
Your buddy.
Yeah. And now Skunky and I are in the shop, and we're working together, so to speak. Okay. He's stinking. I'm working. Okay. So I hear the truck come up the driveway, and I go out to the open garage, and I'm looking at this truck, a pickup truck come out. Guy gets out. He reaches in the back of the truck, pulls out a snare, you know, and he has a Tyvek suit on with a face shield, right? And he has his face shield down. He comes walking toward the garage. As I'm standing there, I go, hey, how you doing? He walks, and he stops dead in his tracks. He says, don't move. He said, there's a skunk right next to you. And I looked down, and I went, oh, yeah, this is Skunky. Say hi. And I reached down, and I start petting him, and he rolls over on his side. And I'm actually roughhousing by this point because it's been like a week and a half.
Right.
He's been in my shop. So we're kind of like a pet. I forgot he was a skunk almost, you know. And the guy puts up the face shield and goes, I've never seen this in my entire career. And he says, that's not a pet. No, he stinks to high heaven. Trust me. I got to wash my hands with vinegar and all kinds of stuff after petting him. But he's really cool. And the guy says, well, now that I'm here, I got to take him. And I said, you're not taking my skunk. Yeah, you're not taking my skunk. And so they ended up, the guy said, I have to. I said, all right, we're going to compromise. If I move him down the embankment to the side of the house, will that suffice? And he was like, as long as he's not in your house. Okay. So I kind of patted him on the behind. In the worst place you should pat a skunk, by the way, because that's where the scent glands are they like to squirt from. Okay. So I'm patting him on the behind, and he's going, and he's making little noises. I'm, shooing him along. I said, it's okay, Skunky, come on. And I said, don't worry, you can come back anytime you want. And he went down the embankment. Well, the next day, garage was open, no Skunky. Day after that, no Skunky. Finally, I just kept looking for Skunky. I called Skunky, because I'd call him that a lot.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he knew his name, but I mean, if there was an imprint of any kind, he would get it. So anyway, Skunky ended up being AWOL for about 6 to 7 months. And then
Oh.
one night I came home and the outside light was on. It's a motion light.
Mhm.
And so I stopped and said, oh, somebody must have just walked in the house. I get out of the car and this skunk starts running toward me. And I'm like, you better be skunky, I said. And it starts going through my legs and going around like well, this little happy noise, like they go like this, and running around in between my legs. I'm like, skunky, whoa. And then I'm hearing over to the right. And I look to the right and I see 5 pairs of eyes. I see one big pair of eyes and 4 little pairs of eyes. And I went, Skunky, you naughty boy, you have a family. Apparently, you know, the female that he met down in my embankment was the best thing that happened to him, I guess. I don't know. But he ended up having a family. And the mother, the female, was probably saying, don't touch those things. You never get the smell off, you know, regarding humans, right?
Right,
So,
right.
so I thought, wow, that's fantastic. So he rejoined the female and they made a wide berth and went back down toward the embankment. But to this day, Skunky is still under my shed directly that way. And I see him come out every now and then. He's all white now. So he's definitely an old man.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's still there, you know. So, yeah, what do you do? So I think I've said this before. I think my spirit animal is a skunk. You know, no one messes with skunk. You know, except John. You know,
One of the things that I've noticed all these years, I've had a lot of experience with paranormal things, with ghosts, with archaeological sites,
Mhm.
you know, just everything, and even UFOs, and seen them numerous times. And one of the things that I've noticed is that when you are in a situation like that, there is an absence of sound.
Yep.
There are no insects, there are no dogs barking, nothing. And it got to the point where, you know, when I first started working for the tribe back in the 80s, it would really bother me that, you know, the dogs next door were howling or barking at night and I couldn't sleep.
yeah.
After several years of having these paranormal encounters, now when I hear dogs barking, it's comforting, because I think to myself, oh, there's nothing unusual out there tonight.
Yeah.
Everything's good.
Yeah, everything's
And,
good, right? The animals are barking, yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it changed my whole perception of,
Wow.
of you know, the strangeness that's out there.
That's like the crickets, though, right? I mean, when I was talking about the cricket in my basement suddenly sounding off when the malevolent thing, whatever that was, if that's what it was, left, you know, it was the all clear signal. Nature's all clear.
Right.
So, interesting thing, right? Instead of hunkering down and being quiet, they feel free to start engaging in their actual normal activities again. So, dogs, well, I don't know, dogs like to bark. They bark at the dark. You know?
Right.
Yep. That's cool.
And I've got a couple of hound dogs next door that, you know, they don't bark. They go, ooh.
Basset hounds.
Yeah.
They do a lot of that. Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And you got to yell at them, hush, puppy. Ba-dum-bum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, when I hear sound disappear, then, you know, my ears go up and I start anticipating that something is going to happen. I don't know what, but something is there.
Yeah. That's true. You know, and I have to say, I think that, you know, being entrenched in science is well and good, and there's a place for that. But you can't do it without being open. And, you know, I'm not saying I'm open just because I'm on your show. John's known me for years. Okay. Michelle, less than that, but still, I mean, but you know that I'm actually open. If I wasn't, then none of these stories would have meant anything to me. So clearly there's a lot going on that we don't get. Now, do I think that we'll someday be able to explain it with science? I have hope that we can. Right now, we don't have the facts to figure all these things out, right? But I do know that we can. Now, back a long time ago, we were starting to talk about the interdimensional travel, which you asked me about, Michelle, and I didn't answer it because we got sidetracked with, I don't know, foxes and things. I wonder who did that. Yeah. But, if you think about it, the universe presents to us the means by which we can do things. And it creates templates that we can learn from and work with. Now, what do I even mean by that? Well, we're carbon-based creatures, right? Carbon is number 6 in the periodic table. Who cares? However, it's the most flexible atom in the whole periodic table. More things bond with it than any other. It's a perfect element to fundamentally support life. And that's what carbon is, right? So what that means to me is that because carbon is the 4th most abundant element in the whole universe, number 4, next to hydrogen, number 1, helium, number 2, and guess what? Oxygen, number 3, and then carbon. So between those top 4, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen in particular, we have the makings of a universe that is sympathetic to life, because the carbon atom is what we're all made from. We're made from carbon. We are carbon-based. DNA, carbon-based. Okay. So that all said, the universe provides this sort of as a template for worlds, not just our own, but worlds elsewhere. So I began to think, after a missing time experience when I was 9 years old, I lost a whole day during a school trip. No one saw me for the whole day. I don't know where I was. I just remember getting off the bus with my lunch and getting back on the bus with my lunch, saying, when are we going to go to this pond? And said, we've been there all day. Where were you? I was like, I don't know. Right. So that was the first thing. And that made me start to fear things. And so when I came home that night, or that day, I was playing with a friend in the lot. I ended up having seizures and convulsions. I had to go to the hospital. That's the one and only time that ever happened. And so that led me to start fearing the night sky. Okay. And when I would look up at night, I would hide under the awning of the house and kind of walk close to the house. I didn't want the space people, if they were up there, to see me. Yet I had no idea if there were any. But every time I saw a star, I figured if I can see the star, they can see me.
Right.
And that's scary. So I ended up having to overcome that fear. And the way I overcame that fear was to ask my parents for a telescope. And I went outside at night and I looked at the moon. I was scared, okay, because I thought that maybe that was going to focus the energy of whatever's out there to come back to me. And it was a weird thought, yes. But I ended up seeing craters on the moon, and I was hooked. I thought, I'm going to find out what's going on up there. And that was age 9. That's when I decided I was going to go on to become an astronomer. And I did. And I wavered only slightly to go into oceanography briefly, and then I went back up into the night sky, from inner space back to outer space. So the point is, the universe provides templates, the templates of carbon-based life, the templates of DNA. All life forms have it. The template of symmetry. We're all symmetric, and life is all symmetric. It's not necessarily bilateral like ours, but radial like a tulip. Okay, 5-sided like a starfish, which, by the way, start off 2-sided symmetry when they're born, and they become 5-sided later. But that said, so I figure these templates are out there. The universe is creating templates, and there's a bunch of them that we have yet to discover. I think some of them have to do with how we can use what the universe has and live within its rules to actually circumvent its rules. And we have 4 dimensions, X, Y, and Z, moving through time. Everything we've ever done is within the 4 dimensions. Everything. We left the solar system with the Voyager spacecraft by staying in the 4 dimensions. We've never gone into any other dimensions. We've only been in these 4 dimensions where we have a speed limit. And the speed limit is light speed in our universe. That's about 7 times around the Earth in a second. John knows, right? And so 7 times around the Earth in a second, right? So that's our speed limit in the universe and in the 4 dimensions. But what if I told you we might be able to go into this 5th dimension? And this 5th dimension doesn't have those rules. And the farther in you go, the more exponential it is. And that meaning that the smaller the universe becomes around you, the farther in you go. So if you have a lot of energy, you can go in quite a bit. And let's say you go in a substantial amount and you travel 12 inches in there. Okay, those 12 inches right there. Here in our 4 dimensions, we travel 12 inches and we go from there to here. But if we go into that 5th dimension, where the universe is now compressed, we have all this compressed space now between our 12 inches. And if we go 12 inches there, and then we come out, that 12 inches expands to many, many hundreds of miles, maybe thousands of miles, maybe tens of thousands of miles. And the farther in we go, we can come out and actually probably go light years at a time, because we're punching out of our 4 dimensions, going to this 5th, and then punching in at this new location. And alien beings are probably the best cartographers in the universe because they know the exit and entry points to come back in safely. That's something we'd have to get to learn. And this isn't just vapor talk and some fanatical made up thing.
Right.
This was discovered in the 20s. And the Large Hadron Collider overseas at CERN is doing experiments, and they have a detector actually called Atlas. Okay, Atlas. Mm-hmm. Not the same thing as 3-Eye Atlas, the interstellar guy. Okay, but Atlas is the name of the sensor on this Large Hadron Collider. And in part, it's used to detect particles that may help us go interstellar. Why would they spend hundreds of millions of dollars building a detector to find these hypothetical particles that could help us go interstellar? Well, the answer is pretty obvious, isn't it? Because if we can go interstellar, then we can get off this rock we're on at some point. And it's a good time to start that research, I think. So the interdimensional travel thing is something that is not just a Marc D'Antonio thing. Okay, it's something that other astronomers and astrophysicists have talked about. Avi Loeb's talked about it, actually. Okay, I've been talking about it for 5 years, and just like last year, he said, aliens could travel interdimensionally. Mm-hmm. Well, no kidding. So in other words, academia is catching up. So it's something that's very interesting. And what's that mean to us? What's that mean for all the things we see? What's that mean to all our cultures and all the belief systems within the cultures? Nothing. It doesn't change anything. You know why? Because you can have more than one thing being true at once. If people believe in parallel universes, then they might see these objects they see or people that they see as being from a parallel universe. Mm-hmm. Okay, that may be true. But some people say that's my grandmother or that's my dad. And that could also be true. They don't exclude, one doesn't exclude the other. And that's the problem we have with science in general, is that if we find an answer to A, we say the only way to get to A is through this one path. Mm-hmm. In science, we say, this is the way we do it. Here's the equation. We do this and we get that. Well, can't you get there from other directions? Possibly. But we think that this is probably the way to do it. This is how you get to A. This is the equation. Satisfy this and you can have A. Otherwise, you're not getting A. Well, that is something that we have to realize. It's not linear. All right, it's parallel. Mm-hmm. There's parallel paths to the same thing. So that's kind of like my big thing, is finding parallel paths to the same endpoint. And so whether you call them ghosts, whether you call them parallel universe intersections, mm-hmm. Doesn't matter. They can both be true. Maybe it looks the same. Maybe the manifestation is the same. So I guess that's a little philosophy. I probably went a little too long there. Sorry about that.
Oh no, I learned so much. And from a scientific storytelling moment that you just gave the audience and us, we are fascinated by what you just explained. If we live in these parallel universes and they're mirroring each other, sometimes we see that anomaly occur.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I once interviewed real quickly, I know this has been fascinating, someone up in the Uinta Basin that sat in front of another parallel inter-universe for 4 hours, but never entered. It said it was extremely beautiful. It opened up. And they had been wrote a book. Her husband was an author.
Wow.
Up there, and she has never been able to share her story. She's passed now. She was in her 80s, late 80s, and passed on. But she told me of that experience sitting there for 4 hours and the fear of going into that, because she felt like that universe would have shut behind her and she would have been stuck there.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. I know that I look at the time and say, "Oh man, I'm such a big mouth. I just didn't stop talking."
No.
You know, John knows. He'll tell you about me behind closed doors, I'm sure.
John?
Oh yeah.
We did have a good time in Colorado, you got to admit.
Yeah. I actually I told that story that I always tell about the weirdest thing that ever happened to me, and how I ended up 15 miles away and got to my destination 45 minutes early.
Right.
And this gentleman comes walking up to me after I talked and just simply looks at me and he says, "You teleported." And I looked at him and said, "What?" And he says, "It's simple." He says, "You physically teleported to that, place 15 miles further down the road." And he says, when you teleport like that, he says, you can time, as I always like to joke about, time becomes wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. Yeah. And so, quoting Doctor Who. So, that's the only thing that has ever made sense to me.
I agree with that.
As far as an answer.
Yeah, John, and that's somewhat true, I think, because if we consider the dimensional travel thing I was talking about, if you could end up zipping into this fifth dimension, you could end up down the road. If you only went a little bit into the fifth dimension, a tiny, tiny bit, the universe is only slightly compressed, but it might have been compressed so that the next 3 seconds made you go 15 miles,
Right.
And the question is, how did that happen? And I would say, I don't think you did it without help. I think there was something else there, maybe an entity, if this happened at all, it was an entity that was probably there administering it, probably playing a joke on you with his friends. Hey, what's this guy? What's this? We got him like 15 minutes early.
We got another one.
Don't tell him, Frankie. Don't tell him. Yeah.
Well, this has been fascinating. We want you back for sure. We need to.
Yeah,
I know the time just went and we've got to wrap, because I know you have something coming up as well here that we have to close this show. But Mark, that was fascinating. And you're I call you the doctor, the guy who dealt with all the animals, Dr.
Doolittle.
Dr. Doolittle.
The animal whisperer. But thank you. And our audience, thank you for being with us. And
thank you. It was fun.
I hope that we can be here next week, same time, same place, as John always says. Take care.
Same bat channel.
Same bat channel.